think everyone is familiar with the horror stories we hear about in contracting. If you haven't experienced it yourself, the likelihood of it actually happening is there. And if it isn't you, there's going to be someone close to you that has a bad experience with a contractor.
So now, please welcome the official, non-official, non-sponsor of the Savannah Bananas, but a big fan. Please welcome John Fletcher.
Well, thank you, my friend Jesse Cole, owner of the Savannah Bananas, and welcome to 15 on Fridays with Fletch. If the job's not right, we'll get it fixed. That's the promise of the Good Contractors List and owner John Stewart Hill. We've all heard the jingle on Dallas-Fort Worth radio. In 2011, after surviving a massive heart attack, John stepped out on faith with no money and no experience running a company. Because he had experienced firsthand how difficult it was to find reliable contractors, he launched the company to bring integrity and accountability to the industry. Unlike Angie's List and others, he put his money behind his promise, offering a $10,000 guarantee on the work of any contractor on his list, and he has recently raised that guarantee to $25,000 and has expanded the Good Contractors List beyond Dallas-Fort Worth, and it's now national in scope. Let's welcome the founder and CEO of the Good Contractors List, John Stewart Hill. John, we're glad to have you with us today. How's your day going?
Going great, going great. Yeah, love.
Well,
Thank you for having me on the show.
Sure. Take us back to 2011. You just survived a heart attack and you're wondering what to do next. What led you to found the Good Contractors List?
Well, I believe that, I had a really profound experience at that heart attack. I'd been praying for 2 months that God would kill me at that point. I had reached a really low point in my life and didn't really see any purpose going forward. I didn't see anything in my past that would, uh, uh, show me that I'm going to have some kind of great future. And so I was ready to go. And I'd been praying for a couple of months before that heart attack that God would take me. Now, on the way to ICU, after they figured out it was my heart, I felt like I heard God speak to me, and He asked me if I wanted to stay or if I wanted to go. And I don't know, it's not a audible voice, but something just clearly came out of seemingly nowhere and asked me this question. And along with that question was, if you decide to stay, I'll be with you and I'll give you a purpose. And so that is where things literally changed for me because at that point, I didn't see myself having a purpose. So when I got out of the hospital, like you were saying, no money, no background, now with a severely damaged heart, ended up having to have a pacemaker and all that stuff in there. Uh, I was, uh, I just left knowing that I had a purpose. Didn't know what it was. I never created a business. That wasn't even in my purview at all. So I just went out and said, God, I am now willing to listen to anything that you have to say. And I just kind of went out and started following that voice. And I was selling coupons at the time, and a contractor came up to me and said, what I would like to do is share this with an electrician and a roofer that I know that I trust. We refer each other all the time, and we could just share that ad. It was a coupon that goes in those envelopes.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it, and I was like, it really would be kind of confusing to have multiple people on one coupon. I wonder if we built a website where you could be the plumber, that guy could be the electrician, and then you guys all, pool your money together, and you can buy even a bigger territory, and everything would go to that one website. After I kind of explained that to him, then all like the next 2 days, it was like I got this download. Like I was feeling like God was giving me all the ideas that I needed to step out and do a business. And so I just said, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, I'll do it. I had no idea what I was doing. But I went into my boss and I quit my job and said, I have to go try this, and I'm not going to do it while I'm out selling coupons and just seeing if I can, if this idea would even resonate with anyone. And so I went out literally, John, with a yellow legal pad and a pen, and started sitting down in front of contractors explaining what God was showing me, that I was going to separate the good guys from the bad guys, and that we would actually have a group of contractors that people could trust.
So
And
how
so
many did you start with and how many do you have now?
One. I mean, that's what was so great about it is, I sat down in front of my first contractor and explained to him what my vision was. Right away, he saw that it was about building a community of accountable contractors. And so what I started seeing right away is that they were getting very protective from that one on. It grew through referrals. It's like the network was there all along, but not everybody knew each other. And so I would bring on a contractor, and then he would say, "Listen, these are the three guys that you want for this, this, and this. But that guy over there, you need to stay clear of that guy." And so it became very protective, and so it just began growing organically through the referrals of other good contractors who just wanted everybody to have a good name that they were being affiliated with.
So, with that in mind, you have actually turned down contractors that might have called you to ask to be on the list, correct?
Our turn down rate is about 60 to 65% of the people coming to us that we have to say you don't really qualify. So, with a $10,000 guarantee, I didn't have a choice to take chances. If you get the wrong guys in there, and our process has gotten so strong now. Like in the beginning, it was like we didn't have all enough money to really support a whole lot of stuff. So I was buying these cheap background investigations and stuff like that. Where now, I mean, our we spend $2,800 a month on FBI level background checks, where we can see who they affiliate with, any of their past, what they've if they've ever closed down a company, and so. Our process has gotten really good, and we've backed over $5 billion now. This is our 15th year going here in DFW. Backed over $5 billion in work, and just a small fraction that we've ever had to pay out.
So, about how much have you, out of $5 billion in construction, how approximately how much have you had to pay out?
Well, I'll tell you, it's $127,000 in 15 years. And I'm running ads on radio and TV. And if you see my logo, it's the word good with a halo. It's a huge target that says, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, you're coming down, buddy. I mean, it's like people won't, because it represents good, people would not let me veer off. And of course, I don't want to ever veer off our standards. But people hold you to that. If you say you're good and that the contractors on your list are good, they're going to hold you to it. And that's what I love about community.
Tell us about describing yourself. Would you call yourself an advocate for the homeowners?
I'm an advocate for the truth. That's where I stand. Is for 15 years now, I've been the guy, and not just me, but I have other people in my company. Jessica mainly is it's been her and myself that stands between a homeowner and a contractor and works out the relationship. Because most of the problems that people have with contractors is based out of fear. So I can't just go, it's always the customer's always right. That's not the truth. Sometimes the customer's trying to work over the contractor, and we like to be right there in the middle to say, here's the truth of the matter. And we actually even go to the home and look at it if it doesn't get resolved through emails and just communication. I would say 99% of the issues get fixed just having a third party there saying, this is going to get to the end and you're going to be happy, or we will pay for it.
So, why and when did you raise the 10,000 to 25,000?
Well, that's just been recently, really. We just, it was working. We really didn't need to fix it, but with the rising prices and all that stuff, you might have could have got a roofing job done for around $10,000 15 years ago. But there's more that needs to be supported now, and so we changed it to $25,000. And really, if we do our work right, then we're not worried about that dollar amount at all because we have good contractors that's not going to leave us holding the bag.
So, when you compare yourself to other referral services, tell us what the difference in that $25,000 makes.
Well, I mean, it obviously adds a little bit of trust, but really the $25,000 guarantee is not an accolade for our contractors just to use. Um, it it's the thing that keeps us honest. Like that's the reason you don't see real guarantees out there. And if you even see a guarantee, like $5,000, $2,000, that some of these places say they guarantee their contractors, the loopholes you have to go through to even get that back is tremendous. And they don't actually even mediate. There's no real mediation in any of it. So we physically get involved and we'll go to the home, send an inspector, send another contractor out to look at the job to see. And honestly, we don't want to have contractors on our list that are going to not do quality work. So
Right.
sometimes, and over that $127,000 was somebody who bit off more than they can chew. But really, life just happens, and so we've just what makes us way different is that this is a real relational type of organization. It's a relationship with the contractor, it's a relationship with the homeowner, and it's about bringing everyone together as a community to protect each other. And whenever you come together like that, things get done way differently than whenever they're just, it's just a platitude.
Okay, give us an example of a story about when a construction project went south.
Uh, well, I've got several of them that went south, but they really weren't big issues. And again, birthed out of fear a lot of times. I have had contractors that along the way just lost their quality. They lost key players that did, that they were used to working with, and they'd have to bring in somebody new, and it was a bad job. And so we'd have to work with the relationship. But there's one story in particular where a lady was really, really, really upset about this job. She had had the guy do the roof. They had went in and done remodeling on the inside after a storm happened and damage happened. And so they also had a patio that they put together. Well, she's calling up and she goes, "This patio is falling apart. The roof is all wavy. My house doesn't look right." And so we were thinking it's going to top out that 10,000 and probably even more. Contractor's now angry. She's been calling him every name in the book, calling him a liar, a thief, and he's bending over backwards trying to help her. So he doesn't want to come back. So when we stood in the middle and we just said, "Hey, listen, we cannot do business this way. I know that you're a good contractor, and I know that you're an honest homeowner. Let's get together and work this out." And so we met at the house, and the first thing that we do is just try to de-escalate everything. And we're starting from scratch. The reason we're all here is because we care about you, Mrs. Homeowner. And it's about us getting to a resolution. We're going to go over step by step every detail of this contract, and I want you to show me what's wrong, and I will call this guy out if it's bad. So listen, we're working this out together. So we go outside, and the first thing she does is she points at the roof, and then she goes, "Look, it's all wavy." And what it was there was flashing there that was aluminum flashing that looked wavy. The roof looked fine. And so I reached up and I was actually, and I'm a short guy, but the roof line was low enough that I could stand on my tiptoes and touch that flashing. And I rubbed it till it was flat. And I said, does that make it look better? And she was like, "Yeah, well, that's not even the main thing. Let's go over here to this patio." She now takes me to the patio that's falling apart. We're in Texas. The ground swells and drops. And if you have a concrete anything, there's going to be hairline cracks, you know, and there literally was. It was a hairline crack. And I said, "Listen, if this thing even separates a 16th of an inch, I will come in here, rip this entire thing out on my dollar and replace it." Well, that's not even the big thing. And we just went one right after the other. And finally, we ended up in her. They had installed a beautiful fireplace mantle and crown molding around this one room. Well, right over that fireplace was the crown molding had two pieces, and where they connected it was just a little off center. And I said, you know what? That would drive me crazy too. Is there any way you can just get one piece of crown molding to go across here? Or by now the contractor was just shaking his head. He couldn't believe that we had worked through all these issues. And he gets all excited and he goes, "Oh man, I know what I would do. Matter of fact, I don't even think that crown molding matches your mantle very well." And now the homeowner and the contractor started collaborating together. They hugged and said, "I'm so sorry for all this." Because people just don't, homeowners are afraid of being made a fool of. They don't want to be that one that has to say, "Oh, I got duped by that crazy contractor that came out and did an awful job." All they need a lot of times is reassurance. A lot of times they just need to know that they're not being made a fool of. And when she saw that all the things that she was blowing out of the water was really not a concern, it it just lowered down, and she realized, I have a good guy who's really been over backwards for me, and then the contractor was like, "Nope, we're gonna make this beautiful. We're gonna replace that. We're gonna have crown molding." And so what I thought was gonna be tens of thousands of dollars to fix ends up being about a $300 fix for him to go in and make it nice. That's a long story, but that's exactly how it looks like. That's what it looks like.
You lead with your faith. Tell us about that.
If I could say I could lead with my mind, that would be great. Lead with my education, that'd be great. Lead with my money, lead with all the influence. There is no other reason that the good contractors list exists other than that I followed the voice of God. He is the one who saved me. He's the one in that hospital bed that said, "I will give you a purpose," and I believed him. And truly, it has been that way. The favor of God has been on this. Everything I do has to come from that faith. Every decision I make is based on what is it that you want, God, from this. And I think that the storyline is what he's built here gives him absolute glory because he used a vessel that was very weak, not only physically weak, but I had no education. I had no background. He took somebody and built a company with a guy that nobody would ever hire for management with their resume. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't have any other choice but to follow God because I don't know any better, if that makes any sense.
Oh, that's beautiful. And tell us, in closing, what are a couple tips in hiring a contractor? Then also about how do we stay in touch with the contractor during a project without overdoing it?
I mean, I think that yes, there are times that you can just be so on top of a guy that there's homeowners that just follow the contractors around everywhere and try to tell them how to do their job. That's a good way to ruin a relationship. The best thing that you could do is really, I mean, and what we do, of course, we have, like I said, FBI level background investigation software we spend $2,800 a month on. So we know the inner workings of everything, how the money's flowing. Well, just, what kind of person that guy was. But most people don't know that. The best thing you could do is try to find someone who's been in business a very long time. Unfortunately, reviews can be bought, but if you can look back at all those reviews, read the patterns. You can kind of start reading patterns. Like if they now have 2,000 reviews, they're 4.9, but go look at those one-star reviews and see what the pattern is. Because a lot of people can bury their bad stuff with a bunch of good stuff from other people or even buying them nowadays. So you do your research as much as you can. If you have a good contractors list in your community, then that's where I would go, obviously, because we've done all that and more to make sure that they're going to be the right guys. I would also look and it's according to what the homeowner wants. If they want fast and they have plenty of money, hire the biggest guy that has the biggest commercials, that has the biggest fleet, and you can get stuff done pretty quick, but it's going to be way expensive. And they're going to upsell you like crazy. You're going to end up having a new unit, even if it's 3 year old. So there's those mega contractors, and then there's the guy that is so he's going to be super cheap, but he may not have the resources to cover it. So I kind of like to target those guys that are on the honest guys in the middle is what I call them. been in business a long time, has a nice the ability to get out there in a decent amount of time. But it's really all up to the homeowner. What if they have the money, get the guy that can get out there in 2 hours. They're going to do a fine job.
All right. Well, great. Well, thank you very much, John Stewart Hill, owner of the Good Contractors List. Thank you for doing the Lord's work and for joining us today for 15 on Fridays with Fletch.
Thank you.
If the job's not right, we'll get it